Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of the Video Vantage podcast. My name is Haley, and I'm joined by my co host, Mike. And this week, we are going to be talking about how to gamify your internal comms. Mike, thanks for joining me this week.
Hey, Haley, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
To kick us off on this topic, can you tell us what gamification is?
Yeah, it's at its essence, it's the use of game design elements such as scoring or rewards or any other kind of competition with others in a non-game context, right?
Totally.
It's a way to make otherwise boring or mundane stuff into something fun and rewarding.
I love that. And it kind of brings out the competitive edge that I feel like we all have to some degree, which
Yeah,
kind of gets that engagement going from the get go.
absolutely.
Now, what types of games or strategies for gamification do you think work best for internal comms?
Yeah, I think for internal comms, I think of we're trying to engage an employee base to do something, right? Whether
Yeah,
that's fill out surveys or give feedback or participate in training or those types of things. And so taking a step back, I'm thinking when I think about those things, we're really talking about how do we change someone's behavior, right? We
yeah,
want them to give us feedback. We want them to do the training, and maybe you're trying to implement some kind of a gamification strategy because you were getting low participation or low completion before. So I think the first thing you have to do is really take a long view to measure success, right? You're trying to get someone's behavior to change, and that can take time, right? And
absolutely.
so I think we have to keep that in mind. I think also another strategy that you have to really be thinking about is like don't overemphasize the rewards that
Sure.
you're giving out. I've seen this in the past where like you start out by like giving a bunch of gift cards or gift certificates away, and that can get expensive over time, right?
Yeah,
So depending on your budget and who what level of an organization you are, that may or may not work for you.
yeah,
And it also giving out money every time starts to create this false incentive,
yeah,
and I think people try to like figure out ways to gamify your game
sure.
to get more money because like I can get all these gift cards by just
Absolutely.
doing something else instead. So I think that's
Yes,
false incentive there.
totally.
Um, I think other things you have to think about are like, how do you create a level playing field? Like, how, clearly document what it is you're trying to do and what are the rules, right? Every good game has rules so that you can't skirt the edges like we just talked about a second ago. And then everyone knows, okay, I have just an equal amount of opportunity to win this prize or do whatever as somebody else. No one else has an
Absolutely.
advantage, type of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are all very great points. Now, let's talk about some examples. I think here at Biteable, one of our most prominent examples of gamification would be our Fast Forward Award, where peers can nominate their fellow peers for representing one of our company values. And that one's pretty cool because it also instills the company values into everybody. So you essentially, the way it works is can nominate somebody for representing one of our values, and you write a short little blurb about what value they represented and how they kind of went above and beyond. And then normally a little biteable video is created for them and presented at the all hands so everybody gets to see and celebrate them, and then they're shipped out a little 3D printed biteable bee logo. So that one's pretty cool because it has a double whammy. I mean, you are interacting with your peers, you're encouraging them and celebrating them, but you're also touching on those values that we try to remember all the time.
Yeah, I really like that one. Um, because it really, I mean, first and foremost, I like it because it celebrates the individual for going above and beyond, and basically like living the company values, right? Um, but it's also fun because it kind of gets around some of those things we just talked about, right? There's like this
Totally.
not this cash thing involved. It's
Yeah,
like it's almost like this little trophy that you can have and this little badge of honor of like, oh, I have a biteable bee logo in a different color representing a different value behind me.
absolutely.
So like they're all different colors for each of the different values. So like if you can collect all of them, that's kind of cool,
Yeah, you got a
right?
little
As opposed to
rainbow.
just getting one. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I remember when they first started, I feel like starting an initiative like that is always a little bit slow to get engagement. Like you're trying to encourage people to nominate and find like just constant reminders. So I feel like our people team did a really great job of they did start with that monetary reward. They said, if you are either nominated or you nominate someone, we will put you into this draw to win like a $50 Amazon gift card in the currency of like your local currency, and that slowly faded away as that value or as the behavior was learned, where we thought, like, okay, it's time for a monthly fast forward award, time to nominate somebody. And we all just kind of learned that over time. So
Hmm.
I felt like that was a pretty cool way to go about it.
Yeah, and I think, I'll speak to one that didn't work, right?
Yeah.
That was, it was internal slash external, right? Because we're trying to get, we in the marketing team, we were trying to get people in the company to post things on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And we said, oh, if you post one of these recommended articles, you will be put into a drawing to win $100 gift certificate,
Yep.
right? The first one got a decent amount of engagement.
Yep.
The second one, it's like two people,
Yeah.
right? And it
You had
just
a
like the
pretty good
third
chance
one,
of winning.
exactly right. But like it just didn't have the impact. So
Yep.
while money might seem like a really obvious incentive, I don't think that's the answer for everything when you're
Completely agree.
talking about these types of programs.
Yeah, and actually that's the perfect segue because I have an example that involves absolutely no money whatsoever. In my previous company, we had a head of security, and this was a fintech startup, so they were dealing with a lot of sensitive customer financial information.
Mm.
Not on everybody's computers, but on some people's computers, they had that information. So whenever you left your desk or left your computer unattended, you had to lock the screen so that nobody could get into your computer, which is again a habit that not a lot of people have. So it kind of had to train that habit. And to do that, we had a security owl. So it was quite literally just an owl statue, probably purchased from like Walmart or something. And if you spotted somebody who left their computer unattended and unlocked, you had to run, grab this owl from whoever's desk it was currently on, and then place it on that person's desk, kind of like the owl of shame. And there was also a Slack channel where you could then photograph that owl on the new person's desk and like kind of publicly shame them in
Oh
this
my gosh.
channel, which we all took it as a little bit of a joke. So it was never like an insult or anything like that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that owl, people would go crazy for it. People would quite literally run through the office to find the owl to place it on someone's desk before they got back and saw their computer. And at one point, the one owl grew and multiplied to about five different owls circulating the office at one time. So you were just really always on the ball because you did not want that owl on your desk.
That's amazing. That is I don't know so many questions about that, but we won't get into that just now. But that's fantastic. I love that example.
Yeah, that was one too that it worked at the company for many, many years. So although the money can kind of wear off sometimes, this owl stood the test of time.
That's a great example for an in-office um, gamification strategy. I love that. That's fantastic.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I did see one other example online that I thought was really cool, especially that example is more geared to like an in-office culture, but if you're working fully remotely, it could be harder to implement these types of things. But I saw one that was interesting. A lot of companies are adopting the internal like intranet services and kind of rolling those out slowly. And one company, the way they did that and encouraged people to explore the intranet was by setting up a treasure hunt that involved different pages of that internet, so everybody would kind of go through, complete the treasure hunt, and it involved them searching through this new employee portal, getting familiar with it. And then there was a little prize at the end if they completed the treasure hunt, which I thought was pretty neat and fun.
That's great. Did they have like a reward for everybody who was involved, or was it just a certain number of people?
That part wasn't quite clear in the article, to be quite honest. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a small, maybe like non financial reward for everybody who completed it, like some sort of badge or something. But yeah, they did say there was a reward involved. I'm just not sure how many people got it.
Yeah, because I was just thinking like one thing that I think you want to make sure you're doing is not just rewarding one or two people, right?
Yeah,
So like if your engagement goes up by 90%, that should be a win. And you should
absolutely.
find a way to, you know, um, reward everybody. Like, I'm not a big fan of the whole like everyone gets a trophy just for participation. But in this
Totally.
case, I think you want to find those ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, everybody's playing a part in it. Just because you didn't finish a treasure hunt in 30 minutes doesn't mean you didn't finish it. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think the bottom line here that we're really kind of getting at is like get creative with your
Yep.
rewards, right?
Yep.
You know,
And you don't
spend a
have to
little
have a
time
big budget
brainstorming
for
it
it.
and, experiment.
Absolutely. I think that is completely accurate. And that's the perfect way to end this episode. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining me for another week of the Video Vantage podcast. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. We will see you again next week. Thanks, everyone.